Hi everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Thank you for joining me back at my channel, and today is my May and June reading wrap up. To be honest, I'm just impressed that I managed to finish books. If you didn't know, you probably do know if you're watching this video, but just in case, I had a baby at the end of May and I'm really impressed that I have managed to finish a book in June. I'm really impressed with myself. So, well, technically I finished it at the start of July, but I read the majority in June and I finished it up within like the first couple of days of July, so I'm going to talk about it now to get rid of it. But anyways, the stuff that I got to before Bubba was born. The first book that I read in May is The Sisters of Reckoning by Charlotte Nicole Davis. This was a really good book. I had a really good time with it. I ended up giving it only about 4 stars, I think. Only 4 stars is still really good, but it was just missing something that stopped it from being unputdownable. The start was a little bit slow. I think I enjoyed it less than the first book in this duology, but it was still really worth reading and still had a really satisfying conclusion. I'll give you a quick summary of the first one, The Goodluck Girls, so that I'm not spoiling anything for anybody who hasn't read it. But The Goodluck Girls follows 5 different girls who have either been sold or born into sex slavery. So at the beginning, when they're younger, they are known as the daytime girls, and so they do all the maid kind of work in the welcome house. And then when they end up turning 16, they become the nighttime girls, where they then have to engage in prostitution without their consent. So it's a really hard topic and a really hard book. The good thing about this is that because it's for a YA audience, it's actually written in a way that is handleable. It's not very depressing, even though those books definitely do have their places, but it is more about these sisters running away in the first book, and do they survive? Do they come back? Do they get dragged back? What happens? That's what it focuses on. This one is the second book in the series. The 5 girls still continue to try to do the best for themselves and for the rest of the women who are in this horrible situation, and it's something that is pretty uplifting towards the end. It doesn't end depressingly, thank God, being the last book in this duology. I don't know what else I can say because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Just that the start was slow, but it picked up and it was really good and a worthwhile read, especially if you're into these themes and topics, so give it a go. The next book that I read and ended up finishing the day before Miles was born is Jurassic Park by Crichton. I annotated this one. I will have an annotation video coming up soon. I know I promised that ages ago, but I wanted to be in the right space to begin with and in the right headspace. So I seem to be, so far, at the moment, Miles is sleeping really well, though we're just about to go through a leap, so we'll see if he continues to nap well. And then I'll be able to keep filming and doing things like that, but I have a couple pre-filmed at the moment, so it might be a little bit before I get to that video, but I do want to. I really enjoyed Jurassic Park. I wasn't sure, considering that it's a book that's written a while ago. Sometimes that can be a little bit hit and miss for me depending on the writing style, but this was a lot of fun. I had a really good time reading it. As you can see from all the tabs, because I generally just tab when something interesting or fun or something that I like has happened. I don't tend to tab when something that I didn't enjoy has happened. So this is great. It was really fun. The suspense in it wasn't like, I wasn't super on the edge of my seat freaking out. It's not like a horror-y, thrillery, scary kind of book, but it was definitely really interesting when the dinosaurs started going nuts and eating everybody. That was really cool. The science in it wasn't too heavy. It was a little bit slow at the start when it was setting up everything, and there was a little bit too, like, just slightly too much talk in the sci-fi realm of the science of it. I wish it would have drawn back just a little bit, but it was still not too bad, pretty easy to get through for someone who hasn't really read a sci-fi. I guess this is a classic as well, but in the sci-fi genre. I highly recommend it to someone who wants to give it a go. My favourite character was, what was his name? Is it Michael? Malcolm, sorry. Malcolm, the computer genius guy, not the computer genius guy, the mathematician guy. Really interesting. And then the final book that I read, that I mainly took me June to read and finish up in the start of July, is Assassin's Quest by Hobb. I had a really good time with this. It's the last in the trilogy. There's not a lot that I can tell you guys without spoiling it. This trilogy follows a guy called Fitz, who is a bastard in a medieval England-esque time, to the royal family, so he therefore has to try and make himself useful to them and not sort of too useful to himself, so that he isn't killed and he's accepted by them. Therefore he gets trained to be an assassin by a previous bastard. This one is the last in his line. There are more in Robin Hood's world, in this world, but this is the last in Fitz's journey. I really enjoyed it. It was very lonely at the start, but then after a while it kicked into high gear. A few people would probably call this book a bit meandering, but Robin Hobb is an author. For me, she's a slice of life author. It doesn't seem like the plot is advancing a great deal in the majority of the book, and then bam, it hits you. And for whatever reason, Robin Hobb seems to gel with me, and I don't mind that. So I had a really good time with this. Anyways, I better go. Miles is starting to cry as my baby monitor is telling me, and I'm just happy that I got to film these videos that I wanted to, and I will talk to you guys in my next one. Bye!